Good morning, guys. This week, week 5, we will be on the 2006 Corolla, and we'll be looking at crankshaft position sensors as well as camshaft position sensors, along with their wiring schematics and expected voltages. Here we have the powertrain management schematic up for the 2006 Corolla, and we have the camshaft and crankshaft position sensors both highlighted and where the power and ground is coming from. We just tapped into the black and the white wires on the camshaft position sensor, and from what we can tell, it seems like that the black is supplying the power and the white is a shared ground in the PCM.
So here you can see our camshaft position sensor. We're tapped into the black wire, which is the power wire. You can see it idle. We're getting about 1.1, 1.2, 1.3-ish. Whenever Dave revs it though, you can see we go all the way up almost to 4 volts.
Here we have the specs, the resistance specs for the camshaft position sensor pulled up, and you can see when it's cold it should be from 835 to 1400 ohms, and when it's hot it should be from 1060 to 1645 ohms when it's hot.
So here you can see we're connected to both sides of the sensor. The car is not completely warm, but it has been ran a little bit, so we're at 1167 ohms.
Okay, so here we have the Pico hooked up. We're tapped into the black wire on the camshaft position sensor, which is where the power comes from, and we're hooked to ground here. And you can see what the camshaft position signal looks like. Looks like there's groups of 3, and then there's a brake. So what I'm thinking is that the reluctor wheel has 3 holes or 3 teeth, and then a brake, 3 holes and 3 teeth, and then a brake. So we'll see what happens when Zach revs it. You can see the amplitude and the frequency increases as he revs it.
So now we've got our picoscope set up. Got one in on the camshaft position sensor and one in the crankshaft position sensor wire. And then here you can see a paused frame. The blue is the crankshaft position sensor, and there's 34 peaks. And the red is the camshaft position sensor, and it can tell where it's at just by how many peaks. So it can tell if there's not a peak here, then it knows it's in this part of the cycle, or it can see if there's 2 peaks, then it's in this part of the cycle.
So here we have a live view of the camshaft and crankshaft position sensors on the picoscope, and you can see when Zach gives us some gas, both the cam and the crank frequency and amplitude increases. So here on the Corolla, we're going to see what happens when we disconnect the crankshaft position sensor. And you can see it died right away. And here we're going to see if we can disconnect the camshaft position sensor. And you can see, because the crankshaft position sensor is still plugged in, the engine is still able to run. So we have a decade box hooked up in series with the crankshaft position sensor there. And we're gonna see if we can get the car to shut off by increasing resistance. So we'll start lower actually. We'll start at 1000. You can see as he's increasing the resistance, the voltage goes up. So we'll go up to the 10,000s, see what happens. Okay, that's 10,000 ohms. Didn't do anything. 100,000 ohms, 200,000 ohms, 300,000 ohms, it shuts off. And we're at 0.9 volts there with the car off.